All right, Matt Steinmetz, the Guru Johnson with you, and let's get out to our buddy John Dickinson. JD was in Seattle last night for the 49ers 21-13 win. They're now NFC champs, NFC West champs. What's going on, JD? How you doing, man?
What's going on, fellas? Good to be with you. Yeah, the Niners getting the job done. Something about Seattle and those clinching games. The last two times they've been able to win the division. They've been able to do it in prime time and do it on that field, which has been a house of horrors, really, for them throughout the last decade. But no more. They got the job done. Yeah,
let me just throw this at you, and we can maybe start a conversation with it. Kyle Shanahan, obviously, this is his sixth year, and I was trying to explain this to Guru, and he gets it. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying that. But anyway, I feel like that was a big precipice that's kind of been passed for Shanahan and even Lynch in a way. Even though we knew they're probably not going anywhere, the reality is they now will have made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. 2 of those years they got pretty deep. They could win a game or two. Like, to me, it's now kind of official. They're building something maybe like the Steelers or the Ravens or one of those teams that is in the playoffs 8 out of 9 or 10 years.
Yeah, and it's the first time they've been able to make it in consecutive years, which I think is a big part of that equation. And it's the first time where I think unequivocally you'd say going into the year, and we did this, whether I was with you, Goo, or with you, Steiny, filling in, there were no excuses for this season, whether it was going to be Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo or now even Brock Purdy, as well as he's played, for the Niners to do anything other than be a playoff team. So to see them be 0-1 and 1-2, and look, I was in Denver and Chicago, and it was pretty ugly after both of those games, and then 3-4 with the defense getting shredded by the Chiefs in October, and looking like they were going to be really fighting for their life as far as the division and maybe even just a playoff spot overall. For them to rebound and in less than 2 months flip this thing to a point where 3-4 becomes 10-4, and now they win the NFC West with 3 weeks to spare. I mean, it really is impressive, and I think a testament to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and everybody in that locker room that it does feel like for the first time, we thought it was sustainable in the past, but I think this is the first time that they've actually proven that a lot of what they're about is sustainable, because they've now had 2 quality playoff seasons in a row.
Yeah, no doubt, JD. And I came in, and this is no shade at Brock Purdy, because this is amazing what's going on. But I told Steiny, these words came out of my mouth, like, this system is so, intact. The concepts of the offense, I'm like, what quarterback wouldn't succeed in this? And, with that said, I want to speak about Brock Purdy. He showed poise. I'm still in awe, JD. I know Miami came after him with the blitz, but Seattle kind of did it here and there, and this is going to sound crazy. I want to say they kind of had some success. What did you make against Brock last night against Seattle when they blitzed?
Yeah, I thought there were varying degrees of success with it. I thought last night was it was the kind of game where the 49ers they felt content hammering away with McCaffrey, but it was pretty clear throughout the game that there were specific plays dialed up off of all of the McCaffrey plays to hit shots. And I think the 2 to Kittle, whether it was the 4th read and Purdy looking around and finding him for the second touchdown, or whether it was the double screen with McCaffrey going one way and Ray McLeod going the other, and Purdy's able to fake both ways and come back and Kittle's wide open. I think last night it was really a game plan kind of a game, and some big third downs and some big like Purdy, I thought, won the big moments, but I think the thing that he's been able to do better than the other 2 quarterbacks, and it's probably unfair to throw Trey Lance in this because we only saw him for the one game, but better than Garoppolo, I'll put the name on that, is execute the schemed up plays that are wide open for big gains. All of a sudden, the Niners are scoring touchdowns. All of a sudden, they're getting in the red zone and they're putting it in the end zone. And a few more of those plays where we would lament on a Monday or some of the the guys that get over the top with the film breakdown on Twitter. Oh, this was a miss and that was a miss and this could have been this. It feels like with Purdy these last 3 games, those plays have not been misses. They've been big gains and touchdowns, and that's been the difference maker for the 49ers in all 3 of these games when they're up 35-0 on Tampa Bay and they're up 21-3 in a game like last night where they could just play it from a position of advantage and be in control and really let their defense go to work. That doesn't happen if they're not putting it in the end zone. And there were a few times last night where it looked like, all right, missed opportunity maybe here or there, and could Seattle hang in it? The turnover with Greenlaw popping that ball out and Charvarius Ward running it back to the 6, I think, was the play of the game. It basically clinched the division because they run that in, they get up 14-3, and it felt like it was going to be too tall a climb for the Seahawks. But Goo, I think Purdy's hitting the big ones when they're schemed up, regardless of the defense, and that's the biggest difference.
John Dickinson joining us on 95.7 The Game. JD, if you look down the line in the playoffs, and they're going to have to win a few games and then get to the Super Bowl, what do you think is going to get, if they're going to get beat, what's going to get this team beat in the postseason?
Boy, an unforeseen injury, playing a little bit shorthanded, turnovers. I think missed opportunities, red zone, where they get down and maybe they can't punch it in. Or, and we haven't seen this yet, it's just a team finds something. Because this is the part. Like, Purdy's been exceptional. There really is not anything you can point to and say, well, he hadn't done this or that well.
Right.
And the legend of Brock Purdy grew, I think, last night even more because of how banged up he clearly was throughout the week and playing through it. And the toughness, I think, was the biggest feather in his cap here. But I think if there is something, it's still very new. And the one thing we know in the NFL is over time, teams are able to adjust and defenses are able to figure out, well, what's the weakness? And maybe Purdy doesn't have a major weakness that's going to be a flaw, and he goes on to be a great quarterback for the remainder of his career. But it's also possible that there's something we haven't seen yet that a defense does to him, or a type of defense. Is it a team that's more dominated by their D-line, or is it a team that maybe has better corners, or is it speed, or is it a certain type of blitz? Like, I just don't think we've seen enough of Purdy to really know what the kinds of plays are that he struggles with. I'll give you a Jimmy Garoppolo example, right? Garoppolo would always he would not see that linebacker, right, over the middle that would kind of lurk and wait and know that he wants to hit the ball over the middle, and that was his kryptonite. It would turn into the Jimmy O-No throw, and teams could kind of game plan around that a little bit. We don't know what those things are because Purdy's only played these last 3 games, and I think that's where, even if this team goes on to be successful and goes on to, let's say, get to a Super Bowl or even win a Super Bowl, we still, even going into next year, wouldn't necessarily know what the flaws in his game would be because he hadn't gone through a full schedule once or gone through every team in an NFC over the course of a year or two. So it remains to be seen, but I think at this point, the unknown is working to the 49ers' advantage because it doesn't seem like whatever they throw at him, he's had an answer for, and Kyle Shanahan's had an answer for. But it's the usual stuff, I think, Steiny, to more directly answer the question here. It's turnovers, it's maybe an injury that's unforeseen, and it's an inability to punch it in. Once you get in the red zone, you settle for field goals, and maybe another team on a day gets touchdowns, and that gets you beat.
Jay, great stuff. I cannot stop it. I told Steiny this, raised his blood pressure earlier, looking at the standings. Now, I know they clinched the division, but JD, if somehow they could overtake Minnesota, who has 4 games left, and get that 2 seed, I'm just telling Steiny and the fans, like, man, you don't got Philly in your bracket into the NFC Championship game if you got there, but to get that second home game, I mean, that's all the motivation you would think a team would need for the last 3 games, huh?
Yeah, you would think. I'm not so sure. And because there isn't a bye attached to it, I think it is a little bit different. I'm with you. I would want the 2 versus the 3. I would want to fight for the 2 over the 3. I don't think it's necessarily the nature of of today's game, though, with no bye attached to it to really fight for it. I think now it almost becomes more about making sure you're healthy and making sure you're playing the right way. And I could see, and this is one thing I'm going to be looking for with over a week until the next game for the 49ers. I'm looking for maybe a little bit of a letdown. Extra time off. Is there a little letdown against
Commanders
Washington?
are good, JD.
Yeah, they're very good defensively. That's a good defensive test, I think, for Purdy and for Shanahan, and a team you could see in the first round. Maybe coming to Levi's.
What's the difference between the second seed and the third seed? Possibly having to win in Minnesota, right?
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And
no,
see,
that's it.
Right, and that's why I told Guru, cut it out, because all people have done all year is laugh at Minnesota, how they're a fraud.
Niners might be favored in that
they
game
can go
on the
into
road.
Minnesota. That's not even a big deal at all. Okay, fine. Now they have to have the 2 seed. Okay.
I get it. I'd want it.
Yeah.
Steiny, I'd want it. But yeah, I think the Niners, with the way they're playing, they'd feel good about going to Minnesota and being able to win that game. But I just don't think it's the nature, and I don't know what you think as far as that goes. I feel like it's going to become more of maybe there's a little letdown for a week, one of these next 2 games. I think it's almost the Niners will go for it hard if they can get to the point in the last game of the season where if they win without help, they would get it. Like, I think but as far as the 4 or 5 games that happened before then, I guess it's 5, 3 for the Vikings and 2 for the Niners before that last day. I feel like that almost just has to play out without a lot of onus put on, hey, they're really going for it. Now, if there was a bye, I think it'd be a different story.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
You're the man.
And we will talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. Warriors wrap up tonight here on 95.7, the game after the Warriors and
no
the Sixers.
Draymond. No Draymond. That's surprising.
Can you believe that, Jay?
No Draymond because, there's no Curry. So if there's no Curry, there's no Draymond, right?
I suppose.
Draymond's out indefinitely now?
Hi, Bruce.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks. Apparently, if he would have gotten surgery on the contusion, it would have been 4 to 6 months.
Hey, JD,
I'm
I'm going to see you
Curry.
next week. You and me, baby.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Starting to get jealous. All right, Jay.
Nah, that's enough.